Hey everybody, this is Cherri Gregg, and this is Real Talk with Cherri. Good evening. I hope everybody is well. For those of you who are new to Real Talk, haven't been watching, Real Talk is my personal community give back during these trying times. So I ask that you tag a friend and share this video. We have a really great lineup tonight of guests. Of course, you guys have been watching television and being a part of mass demonstrations across the country, right? People talking about racial justice, working to end racism, talking about police brutality. And we saw with our own eyes the death of George Floyd. Well, we got our own Amy Cooper situation in the greater Philadelphia area. Y'all remember that story? About a white woman in Central Park calling police on a black man who happened to be looking at birds, and he asked her to leash her dog. We have another situation where a local mom had the police called on her in a situation that probably could have been handled with a phone call or a conversation. I want you guys to tag a friend and share this video because we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk to this mother. We're going to talk about the trauma of experiencing police showing up at your door for a miscommunication. I've seen it happen before my own eyes with friends. It is traumatic. It is very traumatic. So I want you guys to tag a friend and share this video. And I want to give you a chance to get into the live because I'm telling y'all, we got Mom Aisha Williams, okay, from Willow Grove. We have Michael Cord, her attorney, on the show today, talking about this incident. And then at 8:35, for all my small business owners, I got a treat for you. $225 million of state money is going to be opening up any day now. I'm going to explain to you how to get access to it. We have a special guest for that. So anyway, tag a friend, share this video. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to show you the picture. Beautiful picture. I got, a lot of us. This is Mom Aisha Williams here. This is her daughter, who has been in a dance studio for a very long time, loves it. They do some great work, right? And, I'll let her tell the rest. But all of this started from an incident, as I said, that very much could have probably been handled or resolved through a conversation. And so I want to go ahead and invite Aisha Williams and attorney Michael Cord to Real Talk with Cherri. Welcome, both of you, to this program.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And so, Aisha, are you okay? First of all, because I know it's been a trying few days.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for asking that. Yes, I'm fine. It's been a very trying few days, to say the least.
Yeah. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about, what happened and how, how things sort of got ramped up to a point where a police officer showed up at your door and questioned you for 13 minutes.
Sure. So on June 7th, I received an email from the owner of the studio where my daughter has been a part of the dance classes for about 2 years now. She's this year started doing the competition dance. And obviously with COVID-19, we weren't able to have our recital. So June 7th should have been our recital. And so we got a very nice email just stating, give hugs to my dancers, share any fun videos or any fun things on social media, and I'm so sad that we're not having our recital. So within 2 hours, I sat with it and I thought about it and I thought, during the pandemic, this owner and director of the studio has reached out to us many occasions, been really a really great support to us, has asked us how we're doing, all of the students, asked how we're doing, if there's anything she can do, give hugs, all these things, just, an all around community support. And she didn't say anything about, the racial tensions that are going on in the community. So I sat with it and I decided, I'm gonna pen an email and I'm going to ask her, I'm just gonna tell her that it was very disheartening that she didn't ask how her Black families were doing or all of her families were doing. And I said, we all love dance. We all love this dance studio, and we're all just, we're hurting right now, especially your Black dancers and your Black staff are hurting, and it would be nice to hear from you, as you did with the pandemic. I waited about 48 hours, and I didn't receive an email. I didn't receive a response, nothing. So I decided that I was going to prompt her on my 24-hour Instagram post, the stories that you can put up. So I put the post up, I tagged her, and I just said, like, no response yet. I put the entire email, the whole email that I sent her, just so that you can read that it was completely lighthearted and respectful, nothing threatening, nothing, So that was on June 9th that I posted on Instagram. It would stay there for 24 hours.
Yeah, and then it sort of got ramped up from here.
Yes. So on June 10th, I went to check, and I went to check just to, maybe she had responded to my Instagram post. I looked, and to my surprise, I was blocked. So that was very confusing to me, having been a customer for 2 years, having been part of the competition team. It was all very confusing to me. So, and I'm not going to lie, it was hurtful and kind of disrespectful. And so at that point, I took to Facebook and I put it on an actual post. And I said, this is my experience with, and I put the entire email that I wrote, and then a picture showing that I was blocked from Instagram. And I said, basically, this is how she does her business. And I don't know what precipitated me being blocked, because you can see exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that post got a lot of people talking. And then on June 11th, I was home with my 2 daughters. I have a 7-year-old. She's the one who does the dance at the dance studio, and my 15-year-old, she just turned 15 yesterday. And I hear a banging at the door. So my daughter and I were both in the room. We stood up, we looked outside, and we saw that there was a police car outside. And it didn't register to me, but then we heard banging again, like loud bangs. So, I rushed downstairs. My daughter is trailing, my 7-year-old is trailing behind me, and I am met with a police officer at my door. And at first I'm thinking, what's happened? Is everybody okay? Like, I'm thinking there's an emergency, something's happened with somebody that I love, And so I asked him, is everything okay? And he told me, basically step outside. And I said, excuse me. And he said, are you Asha? And I said, yes. And he said, are you having a problem with the dance studio? And I said, that's when it started to click. And I was like, what is this pertaining to? And he said, please step outside.
Yeah.
And so I got outside. I asked him if I could grab my mask from the car. He said, go ahead. So I grabbed my mask. And then as I was coming up, I saw that my 7-year-old was trying to come out. Obviously, my adrenaline's going. I'm so upset. And I just kind of looked at her and I said, go upstairs and go in the house. Go get your sister or something like this. Unbeknownst to me, I'm sorry.
No, so what was going through your mind? First of all, you're outside. A police officer questioned you about an Instagram and Facebook post. Did you wonder why in the world he was there? And I'm summarizing this because I think there's some muffling on with the sound. There's some interference here, and so people in the comments are saying they couldn't hear. And so I want you guys to know the police showed up because you asked for the dance studio to provide a basic discussion of racial tension and to provide support. They did not respond, and it ramped up from there.
Yes, I'm sorry, you break me up a little bit in my phone. It could be me, but
okay. Everyone's saying the sound is muffled. I'm not sure whose sound it is, but I'm not sure why.
So basically, I was scared. I was confused. I didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, honestly. My adrenaline's pumping. I'm scared. My daughters are here, and I'm wondering, what is really happening. There's somebody at my door. Like, there's a police officer at my door. So that's when he started to question my motives. He wanted to know, why was I posting these things? And I said, because it's my experience. This is what's happened. And he started to act as her advocate. It started to feel like he was acting as her advocate. And basically it felt like he was saying things like, be careful what you post because they don't go away. And she may feel like this is harassment. And, if you don't really want to go down this road. And so I, again, was very confused because I hadn't said anything that was ill of her. I hadn't said anything that was threatening. I simply shared my experience.
Yeah. And I'm gonna stop you here because, and just repeat kind of what was said. Hopefully you guys, we don't have a bad connection here, but I do hear some crackling. I'm not sure why. But it sounds like the police sort of ramped everything up.
Yes. I mean, the police ramped everything up because it was something so simple, and it was something so simple, and by the end of the time that we talked for 13 minutes. For 13 minutes, we sat, and I didn't realize it at the time, but my children were upstairs in the window for 13 minutes watching me be questioned by a police officer. Now, I mean, my daughter, she's 15. She just turned 15, like I said, so she knows exactly what's going on. And, when I came in, she was just like, I was just so scared that you were going to be the next hashtag. Like, because they couldn't see me from my window, but they could see him. And she said she just kept her eye on his gun and kept her eye on his hands. And she was just so scared. And so her being scared led to my youngest being scared. And by the time I got back in the house, after he told me basically stop posting and have a nice day, by the time I got back in the house, they were just so distraught. They were, I came up and they were both just, crying and upset. It was a lot. It was a lot.
And did the police officers accuse you? I mean, they didn't say that you committed some form of harassment that broke the law. They just literally gave you sort of a warning, it sounded like, or a threat. What was it? How would you characterize what was said to you?
It felt intimidating. So, it felt like, a warning that I should probably stop posting. It felt like it didn't feel impartial. And that's what struck me, was because it didn't feel impartial. He came, and it felt like he was already saying that I was wrong. He was already, telling me what I shouldn't be doing, and that her business should not suffer because of a mistake or a misunderstanding that she had. That, the onus was on me, and I needed to stop what I was doing. And it just didn't. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel good, and it definitely, having someone stand in front of you for 13 minutes with a gun on their hip. It was a lot.
And so, you took this extremely seriously, and I'm gonna remove myself from the screen as you tell this part of the story. But you took this so seriously. Now you've hired an attorney, and you guys have took a step to make sure that folks know about this. Tell me what happened next, and what did you find out?
So, what happened next was that, having thought about it and having living in Abington for so long, one of my neighbors actually came out and said, what were the Upper Moreland police doing here? And so I realized that it was Upper Moreland police and not Abington police. Oh, did we lose her? So I realized it was Upper Moreland Police and not Abington Police. So
yeah, continue. You can go ahead. I'm just trying to fix the audio. Go right ahead.
So at that point, I called. My neighbor called, and she, because I was just so. To be quite honest, I just couldn't get it together that night. That night, I didn't have any to get it together. But my neighbor came out and she said, we have to call Upper Moreland and find out how we can obtain a copy of that report, because I don't understand why the police officer was even out here for a social media post. And so I said, you're absolutely right. So we called Upper Moreland police, and from the moment that we called, they definitely knew that this was the dance studio issue. And when my neighbor questioned, why would the police officer even come out for a social media post? I don't think that that's a crime. She said basically, like, that's your opinion. You can come in and get a form, and you can have you can get a form, and you can request to have your police report.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks. And so that's what I did.
And so you said the next day you filed a formal police report, and saying that this police officer came to my home and basically confronted me about a social media post that and he was out of district as well, this police officer.
Yeah, like I said, I'm an Abington resident, and he was an Upper Moreland police officer. And so what the form that I filled out was actually a form to obtain the official police report. And so from him coming to my home, and when I went there, they told me that it would basically just be a 2 to 3 line summarization of what happened, that I wouldn't receive the full report at all. And I also asked something about the body cam, would the body cam footage be available? And they said, well, hopefully it was on. So I don't know how I would but I would need a court order to obtain that. And, so I filled out the form and I gave it to him. And then I said, and if I wanted to file an official complaint against the police officer, how would I do that? So then they brought out the sergeant. She had the paperwork, and I asked her if I could please take that paperwork home.
Wow. And so this ordeal, when you think about it, how does it make you feel to know that someone used their connections with a police department outside of your home district to come to your home and treat you this way?
Unsafe. It's, with everything that's going on, I think that we've all been painfully reminded that police are used for intimidation. They're used as weapons against Black people, against people of color. And so it felt like I was being put back in my place. That was the feeling that I had after the whole ordeal, and it's been a really trying time these last couple of days. Just trying to remember, that who I am, and remember, and my children are the biggest worry and the biggest concern that I have. My youngest hasn't slept. She's walking around in the middle of the night, coming to knock on my door, knocking on her sister's door. They're worried. I actually had a visitor come today, and my daughter ripped her heart, when they knocked on the door, and she was just like, oh my gosh, you scared me. Like, so you can tell that they're not okay either. They don't feel as safe as they did before, because they're not oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah, and people are saying here in the live, it sounds like they were trying to intimidate you. And they asked, and I want to bring Michael in here, because I got to ask you, Michael, what kind of legal issues are posed by a police officer from another district coming into a police officer from outside of your district coming to your home when they don't even have jurisdiction over you, and doing something like this when no laws have been broken.
And that's a great point. That's an excellent point. You know, it's usually a situation where the client is hyped up and emotional, and the lawyer has to calm the client down. But in this case, the client had to calm me down after I found out what was going on. Because let's look at this. You have a white, male, armed, uniformed police officer in a marked vehicle from an outside township coming to a different township to question slash interrogate slash confront a Black mother about a third party issue. This had nothing to do with the police officer, even if he was from Abington. But he wasn't from Abington. She lived in Abington. The dance school is in Abington, but he comes from Upper Moreland to her home. And again, he's fully uniformed. He's in a marked police vehicle, and he's banging on the door and essentially commanding her to come out. Her 7-year-old daughter is in the house, panicking, wondering what's going on. This is just an outrageously traumatic incident. So what we've done is we sought an official report and filled out the paperwork for that. But we're told that once we get the report back, it's going to be redacted. In other words, there's going to be a summary, and you can bet that that summary is probably not going to mention that this officer was from outside the township. It's probably not going to mention that this incident involved a third party. It's probably not going to mention that this matter was not an illegal act. In fact, it was not even a violation of Facebook and Instagram policies. So the idea that an armed police officer would confront a single mother outside of his township, fully armed, is absolutely frightening. So what we're doing at this point, we have planned on what type of legal action we're going to take, but we can't put the cart before the horse. We want to get that report. We were hoping that report was going to be a full explanation of what happened. We found out that it's going to be redacted. But once we get that, we'll know exactly where we want to go. And without saying too much, and I'm going to share this with you on your show, there is other objective evidence that proves every single thing my client is saying. I'm not going to go into detail, but if it comes down to he say, she say, then the officer is going to be proved as not correct if he said something different from the objective proof we have. And that's all I want to say about that proof. But this is a frightening situation, as my client mentioned, that could have been a hashtag. You can see that she's an articulate, eloquent young woman who's calm and composed. But what if she wasn't that articulate? And what if she wasn't calm and composed? And what if she didn't live in Abington? This could have really been a hashtag, and it's absolutely outrageous.
And Asha, I got to follow up to you, because what would you have done if the dance studio owner had just called you up?
I would have said thank you. I would have told her, but thank you. I appreciate you hearing me and seeing my daughter. It didn't have to go this far at all. It was, you know, my email was, you can see my email still to this day. It's on my Facebook. My email was well thought out. It was polite. It was non-threatening. And had she just either replied, she could have just replied with the simple, you know, I didn't even think about that. How is your daughter doing? She could have just replied with something so simple. It didn't have to be all of this. If she would have, you know, called me up and said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to go this far, I would have said, absolutely. And I did also share that with the police officer when he asked me, could she contact me? I said, she can absolutely contact me. I would love for this to be squashed.
Yeah. And I just got to say, I mean, to me, this is a lesson, okay? Because we didn't mention the name of the dance studio here, or because this is still active litigation, and a formal litigation piece hasn't been filed. So I didn't want to, the goal here is not to drag anybody or whatever, but the goal is to talk about why this ramped up, because people, you could have picked up the phone and versus calling the cops. And that's because, and I want people to understand the trauma of calling the police. And this is a situation that a cop, not even from your district, this could have gone really, really badly.
In fact, if I can just quickly jump in before we hear something, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because white people need to understand that when they call the police on Black people, that Black person could wind up dead. And this would have been a horrible tragedy, because not only was it not a criminal matter, it wasn't even a violation of social media policy. So if nothing else, my white friends who are watching you need to understand that you got to be careful about calling the police on Black people, because that could literally result in a Black person being killed. In this case, a mother in front of a 7 and 14-year-old daughter.
Yeah. And guys, I'm really sorry about the audio. I'm not sure with what is put in here. So I do apologize for that. For that, we've never had audio issues ever. So I do apologize. And I want to read some of the comments here, because people are really outraged at what happened. And Asha, could you mute yours? I'm wondering if it's because of where you are located in your home. Yes. I think, no, it's still in here. I don't know where the interference is coming from, guys. It may be me. I hope not. But I wanted to let you guys see what was said here. It says so what district does the person who called the police live in? It's at Abington. And it says, sounds like they were trying to intimidate you. People said that this sounds sickening. Other folks said it sounds foul. They said they want to know what is next and how we can help support Asha and her family. So what is next? I mean, there's a formal complaint filed, right? Michael, you are clearly stepping up to the plate. She hired you. So this is serious at this point.
What we would invite people to do, and I'm going to speak on behalf of my client at this point, people were so outraged that in their attempts to come to the defense of my client, they were yelling and screaming about the dance location. And we understand people's rage, but we don't want them to attack verbally or otherwise that business. All we want to do now is for the village to come together to support Asha. And the way they can do that is by contacting me. I'll put them in touch with her. They can reach me by email at michaelcordx@gmail.com, michaelcordx@gmail.com. I will be happy to relay to those folks who are concerned her contact information. But right now, on her behalf, we ask that folks don't do any investigative work. Don't try to find out where the dance location is. Don't condemn them verbally or otherwise. We just need to support our family, our village, and by contacting me, we'd be able to do that.
And I put Michael's email here, and I'm sorry there's that audio interference there, Asha, because the lesson here, I think, is to white people, definitely, stop calling the police on Black people for stuff like this. I mean, this is a calling the police on somebody because of a non-threatening IG post. And so, I don't typically, I don't know the business. We're not mentioning the business for specific reasons, because this is about the lesson that this teaches. Talk about, Asha, the trauma your family has experienced. And this isn't the first time that you've been, and this is like causing PTSD.
It absolutely is. Like you said, this isn't the first time we've had another altercation or another confrontation with the law enforcement. It was actually a SWAT team came through my door when my 15-year-old was 3 or 4 years old. They escorted her down the steps with guns drawn. They handcuffed my then husband, and in front of all of us, questioned him, ran him for a warrant, ran him to see if he had any warrants, and just to find out that he wasn't the person that they were looking for. And then we were let go, and they took him out of his handcuffs. They put all their guns away. they left. They didn't say sorry, none of that. And we had to go about our business and have a regular day, get my daughter ready for school, get her off to school, get myself to work. I was working as a teacher at that time, and he had to go to work as well. So, this is not the first time, unfortunately. Usually it's not when you are an American, a Black American. This is our reality. So,
Yeah.
It was unfounded.
And so what repercussions do we have, Michael? What repercussions do you have in your arsenal when something like this happens?
Great question. There's always a complaint you file with Internal Affairs. We're working on that. There's always a civil lawsuit for compensation for mental anguish and emotional distress. But more important, and I'm going to share this with the listening audience, there's something called a private criminal complaint. And a private criminal complaint has the advantage of not just seeking disciplinary action against the cop, not just seeking financial compensation, which, by the way, doesn't come out of the cop's pocket, it comes out of the taxpayer pocket. We have another approach that we're considering, which under Rule 506 of the Pennsylvania Code of Criminal Procedure, Rule 506, says that a private citizen can stand in the place of a public prosecutor and seek criminal charges against a police officer. So we're looking at the internal affairs complaint, the civil lawsuit, and a private criminal complaint for harassment, for a simple assault, for whatever we think would be appropriate. So those are the options, not only in this case, but in any case. Internal affairs, and many people don't have much faith in it, but it's still a step you have to take. Civil lawsuit, if you can show liability and damages. And finally, Rule 506 of the Pennsylvania Rules of Criminal Procedure allows a private citizen to seek criminal charges against anybody, including a police officer.
And
so,
and I'm going to ask you a quick follow-up, Michael, as we get ready to wrap up. Why is it important that Asha follows this through and other people who have this type of thing happen? Why is it important that we take all those steps and that we follow this through to the end?
Saving yourself today saves somebody else tomorrow and the next day. So you take these steps that Asha is going to take, and now that police officer will never again leave one township to come to the next township. That person from that dance recital location will have second thoughts. So you have to speak up, not only to save yourself, but to save the village.
Yeah, and I got to bring Asha back in here because a lot of times we will let this go. I have heard, I've seen family members, my brother, people I love, undergo harassment, and nobody ever speaks up. Nobody ever complains. We just kind of let it go and just say, this is part of what we got to deal with. Are you ready for this, Asha? And how are you getting your strength to speak out and take this to the full length that you need to take it in order to make sure that this never happens again?
I think ready is I don't know that anybody's ever really ready. I know that my two daughters watched me be questioned for 13 minutes and were scared to death. And so I'm drawing from their strength. I'm drawing from my strength. And I just want them to know that, that we're fighters and that we don't just lay down, and that this is, when you see something wrong and something's wrong, to speak up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I commend you for doing that. And Michael, I put your email up here so that people can contact you. Any final words from either one of you on just this ordeal? And I'll read a couple comments more that you have a lot of support here.
I just want to start by thanking my client, this young lady, for being so courageous. Because as you pointed out, many people are afraid to do the right thing. She's doing the right thing, so she deserves our support. I also want people to understand the point you made a few minutes ago. When you see something, say something. because it's important that you not only save yourself today, but save somebody else tomorrow. So if folks forget everything else I said about the legal strategies, remember this: when you see something, say something.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say, you know what? Pursue this, whatever you can, because regardless of whatever happened between you and the business owner, which is why we didn't mention this, the law was broken when somebody comes outside of their jurisdiction using the color of the law, the color of the state to intimidate somebody for something that was not against the law. That right there, I mean, that was where it went sideways, when this probably could have been resolved with a phone call or a text message or an email. So I'm gonna pray for you guys. You got Michael, so he got a good track record over there.
Thank you very much for putting this out there for the public to see and hear. So I want to commend you for being a springboard for the truth, and commend my client for just being so courageous, willing to stand up and fight the good fight, not just for herself and for her 2 young daughters, but for Black people everywhere. Because this whole thing started when she told the dance location business that Black Lives Matter. That's how this whole thing started. They didn't get it, but believe me, by the time this is over, they'll realize that, yes, Black lives do matter.
Yeah. So good luck to you both. Thank you so much for being here. And Michael, as this develops, we'll follow up. Okay.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. To Asha Williams, to Michael Cord. You can support them and support Asha in this quest to get justice. I mean, she's basically filed a complaint. And I just want y'all to understand how important it is, because as a reporter, a journalist here in this city, everybody tells me all the things that has happened to them, but then they never take the step of filing an actual complaint. And it's important. It's important to document what happens and to pursue it to the end. Because all these complaints, now they're going to have oversights, they're going to have all this. These complaints will matter. These complaints will add up. These complaints will impact people's compensation, possibly their ability to have jobs. This is something that communities that feel intimidated have to use the mechanisms available, because you understand, if it was flipped, complaints would be filed. And so this needs to happen. I want to just say, acknowledge all the people who said something. Angie Bird said, no, go after their pockets and take them out of business. We don't try to do that here, Angie. I did not talk to that business owner. I did not do that. So I did not want to specifically name names. Okay. You say, thank you for being on the front lines. Yes. This is why my baby was terrified of the cops. I can't even explain it away for her. She has to be aware we should not have to always be on guard. So this is what Asha was explaining happens to so many. Sharon says this is horrendous. Okay. Jamie says this has to stop. The studio needs to be on full blast. The officers should be reprimanded, even fired. Mary Gregg, my mother says that happened to my oldest son. This is why you have to see this through, Asha. That's what people are saying. It might, yes. Thank you, Michael Cord. You're always for the people. And Tiffany says that studio silence speak volumes. I think the African-Americans should leave the studio, hit them in the pocket. Look, that's y'all speaking right there. We got some fists here. We got people saying, don't let it go, follow it through, and they will support you. And so I want to say thank you to everybody who commented on this. You can rewatch this, Michelle. It will be posted here on my Facebook page once this is done. So thank you so much to Michael Cord and to Asha Williams for coming on Real Talk with Cherri. And so my next guest, y'all heard me talking about this $225 million, right? I've been talking about it and saying it was going to happen. And we did a whole thing on it and let you guys know that the governor had signed, a bill or a bill that basically gave $225 million in grants for small businesses. But he also kept about $100 million for small businesses that have been historically disadvantaged, okay? Historically disadvantaged small businesses. So what does that mean? And we had what is I'm trying to remember his name, Senator Vincent Hughes on talking about this very issue, Black and brown businesses. And that money is going to start going out, and they're going to use CDFIs, community development financial institutions. And Ken Scott is president and CEO of one of those institutions. Ken, welcome to Real Talk with Cherri. How you doing?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. All right.
I think we had a little interference in Asha's microphone, but we wanted to hear her story, so I apologize.
Oh, no.
We fixed it. Yeah.
Oh no, that's fine. I almost feel like, why am I on? I was ready to jump in that story, because
I know it was crazy.
I'm always down with the people and these issues of systemic racism and Michael Kors. I'm telling you, but we have to be on top of it. Like you said, we must follow up. So many injustices. We've talked about it over the years, and the work we're doing at Beech, started because of the uprisings back in the '60s. And we started to redevelop that community from after that, those protests and activities back in the 1960s. So here we are 30 years into that community redevelopment, and back to another rerun.
And I want to get straight to it because we have a lot of business owners. And if you know a small business owner, if you own a business, tag a friend and share this video right now, because we're talking about chopping up 100 mil, y'all, right now. And the Beech Companies and Ken Scott, their company is one of 17 across Pennsylvania that will be helping to distribute this money and get it to the people that need it. So first of all, Ken, congratulations on Beech Companies being selected.
Oh yes. It was a long road. People always, what do they say? You don't want to see how the sausage is made behind the scenes, but we have been working on this for about a month. Just trying to pull this all together, working with Senator Hughes and a bunch of the other legislators up in Harrisburg. Fortunately, it makes it tough sometimes working with the Republicans. We just want to be upfront about it. I mean, they're basically, I was on a call one time. They basically said, we don't care about the businesses in Philadelphia. That was actually what they actually said on one of the calls. So
yeah. Well, somehow y'all wrangled and got them to say $100 million for historically disadvantaged businesses. Yeah. And what is historically disadvantaged businesses? And we put in the air quotes on there. What does that mean?
Well, they didn't want to just come out and say Black businesses or, just to say Latino businesses. And by the way, that also includes Asian businesses. So it started Black, brown, and then it wound up Black, brown, and Asian businesses being historically disadvantaged over the years. So that's really what it comes down to, that we're focusing on those business communities that have historically been left out of capital. When grant opportunities come, or PPP, as we know what happened with that program, all the large businesses jumped on it first. Matter of fact, as we're getting inquiries now, I can tell you we're doing a lot of outreach to Black businesses, and I'm probably getting about 90% emails and phone calls from white businesses. So
wow.
That's why we're going to be putting the word out. We have a serious outreach effort that will be taking place. The program itself right now is all just kind of being, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But the information will be on our website. You can just Google beechcompanies.com. It'll be on our website, and several of the other Philadelphia area CDCs, community development financial institutions, West Philadelphia Partnership, the Enterprise Center, United Bank actually has a CDFI, and North Philadelphia Financial Partnership. So they'll be the other ones who will be focusing on Philadelphia and the Black, brown, and Asian businesses.
Yeah, and so this is going to happen soon. This is happening. Yes. You guys are getting set up right now to accept those applications.
That's right. The application should take place with the new budget year on July 1st. So the information should be on the website by next week. The applications will start to come out, so that way it'll give you a chance to put your information together, trying to keep it as simple as possible. Basically, your tax returns, 2019, 2018, and just basically a write-up. You have to be current in your state and federal taxes. You do have to, this is government funding. And they just want to know how you were affected during the pandemic. Did you have a loss? Do you need to upgrade some modifications so that you can set new business? Social media, technology, if you need any of those kind of upgrades because of what's happened. And just kind of give us a write-up, send in that information. There'll be a couple other check-the-box type of things that you have to do. and we'll put it into the system. They'll send it to us, and we'll make sure, because we're trying to guide it. We don't want you just instate saying. We just want to make sure that your application isn't delayed because you forgot some paperwork or you forgot something. Want to make sure that it's processed, everything that you need, and we'll review it in case some additional information may be helpful to you, and then we'll send it through. And hopefully, in a couple of weeks, you'll see a check show up or be wired to your account.
And now I understand this is free money. This is grants.
This is grants. This is grant money. It's not loans, not a forgivable loan. This is a straight out grant for profit businesses. Nonprofits are not included in this. There's supposed to be another pot they're working on that I'm trying to help with. But yes, this is for profit small businesses.
Yes, and so people ask, Michelle Martin asked nonprofits. A couple of people want to know, so nonprofits can't apply for this pot of money.
Not for this pot of money. Not in this bucket of money.
I'm sorry, Michelle. No, for this. This is for-profit businesses. And why were so many? Let's break this down. People have been tweeting me and saying that that's not true. That the PPP money has been available to all these businesses. But I talked to so many people who were told that they were ineligible or that they couldn't get it.
Right. Well, remember, the first batch of money was taken away right away because of the large businesses and a lot of the other people. They ran out of money. Then they restored some of the funds. But again, working with the government, are you qualified for this loan? Because still it's PPP, but they still did a credit review and some of the other activities, just like a real loan. So are you qualified to get that? So that knocked a lot of people out of the box. If you're behind in your taxes, that knocked you out. Unfortunately, this isn't PPP, but the city also has some regulations for their funding, where if you had like any city violations or you were behind in your city taxes, you were ineligible for some of their loans and even some of their grants, which I personally thought was ridiculous. During an emergency, I'm going to hold you up because you got a trash citation or something. Come on.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of issues that people got held up. They didn't get the money, and then this is supposed to be different. And I understand. I did a story a couple of days ago. The barbers and the hairstylists, and they'll be on tomorrow night. They lobbied so that they could get need being considered. So there's a spot that if you were left out of past funding and have gotten nothing, you'll be kind of first in line here.
That's right. So with this program here, there'll be a scoring mechanism. Once it leaves us, it'll kind of go to a central process and we'll get some scores. So Black, Brown, Asian businesses, let's say that you get a point. Obviously, if you already have been shut down, those particular businesses, you would get an extra point. So that's, geared towards helping them make sure that they are the first ones in line to get some of this funding.
Yeah. And Chris Brown. Hi, Chris. How you doing, sis? She put up the website. It's www.beechinterplex.com. Check it out and get ready because, we got to talk about this because part of what I did a show on Flashpoint this past weekend on institutionalized racism. We saw it at work throughout COVID-19 and specifically with regard to the giving out of cash.
Yes. So remember, Beech has been around 30 years and we have our foundation. We were giving out emergency grants, to nonprofits, the boots on the ground, the food pantries, shelters, all those things. And we're still doing that. Every week we give out emergency grants. Twice a year we give out larger grants. The second piece, though, there was another program that we just started on Friday. We just announced that it's restricted to the 181st legislative district, which is with Malcolm Kiala. But in that district, we have some money that we put together that'll actually go to businesses that were hurt during the uprising. And so there'll be some money available for you if your business is hurt for some other small grants. And then I have another pot, got multiple buckets, another bucket that should be hearing next week. Hopefully, at least by July, I'll have an announcement. Some of my tech friends out on the West Coast putting together some major dollars that will then be able to be used for investment, right? And some loans. So hopefully some zero interest loans, but also some just investments into the business period. So act just like a grant.
So you guys, you got to be proactive and get some of this money. And the money is it took a while because first dibs went to bigger, big small businesses.
Yeah. It's supposed to be small businesses, but the government snuck in, like I said, you always got to read, the devil's in the detail. And they had put in some language that said, you have less than 500 employees. Now, anybody has 500 employees, not a small business, right? But somehow they were eligible and they all jumped to the front of the line. And then some of them, and there also was an exception for mining companies. Mining companies could get a small business loan. How could they get a $10 million loan? from the SBA. So, you know, a lot of inside baseball, right? As you
A lot of inside baseball. And this, but it was still a big impact. And I think this, for the first time, people started seeing who got access, where people fell in pecking order, you know, because I do know a lot of businesses that did get some of the first round, but they were very savvy, larger, small businesses. They weren't these tiny mom and pop situations, and they were the well-connected got the first dibs.
Right. That, you know, but obviously, if your books are in order, you have good accounting, you know, okay, so they were ready to go. So the minute the program opened, they hit the button, bam, you know, our application's in. Some of the regulations weren't even out yet. That was the interesting point. Some of the actual regulations hadn't been confirmed until that day, but yet their application was fully ready to go, and they zipped in. I mean, when it opened at, like, you know, hey, 1 o'clock is open, their application was in, and you know. But always play, you know, be prepared, like you're saying, be prepared, and that's what we're working on now. Make sure that, you know, you have everything prepared, so when this opens, you know, you won't be dragging around a week or 2 weeks. Like, no, get your information together now so we can process it right away.
And write this down, guys, beechinterplex.com. That's where you'll be able to go. And I will be posting here some of the other the community development CDFIs as well, because I'm sure you all get buckets of money that you must give out, right? And the money, just talk about the amounts, 5 to 50K.
Right. So the grants will be somewhere between, you know, we'll start at 5, and it's based on tiers of what your revenue is. So if your revenue is $50,000 to $100,000, obviously you're at the smaller grant end of 5K. If you need technology, whatever, some advancement, then maybe your grant could go up, and up to $1 million is basically the cap of revenue. And so the larger revenue with the larger losses, that would make you eligible for a larger grant.
Yeah. And how is the need calculated? Because for some of these people, and we talked about the barbers specifically, they lost being closed during Easter, being closed during prom, graduation, Mother's Day. This was the most, everybody get a haircut for this time.
Yes. What are you saying? They don't get a haircut for Father's Day coming up?
I'm not saying, but they definitely get a haircut for all that. This was their money-making time.
Absolutely. This is their money-making time. They've lost out on so much. I mean, all those people, think about that. Somebody on TV the other day with the wedding salons. I mean, yeah, all these businesses really suffering. That's why they're trying to give them a priority to say, okay, you can be first in line. Again, have your paperwork together. I talked to several barbershops over the past week, just trying to make sure that they had everything together. And that's always some of the issues. You know, we're trying to provide technical assistance because some of them don't have their paperwork together. They're not, you know, it's like, oh, by the way, you know, where's your tax return? You know, you're gonna have to show that you actually are up to date on your taxes. So, you know, you need some receipts just showing that you made tax payments last year, or at least in 2018, that you're up to date. You know, they will actually check and verify those kind of things. So that, but just be prepared. It's not overly that much. We're trying to keep it down to like a one pager to get your application in. But I'm trying to, like I said, get everybody rolling now so that they can be in. And you know, this program is very limited. It only runs till the end of November. So there'll be multiple rounds. So even if you don't get the first round, there'll be a second round and a third round, you know, going into the, you know, like basically every month.
Yeah, but don't wait. I mean, why wait? Get your stuff in. Stephanie Ford had a question. She says, do you have to be in business for a certain period of time?
Yeah, well, you have to, as you said, you have a 2018 or 2019 tax return, which means that you're in business in 2019, right? So yes, so you can't just now be opening a business. Even if you started, it's like a startup in, I guess, January 1, if you were sort of a startup, there might be some leeway there because you were right there before the pandemic really hit. So that'll actually could be considered. But really, we're talking about businesses that have been in business 12 months, at least 12 months.
And for those people who filed their 2019, you could have filed it in March, right before the pandemic, and maybe you were open for a period of time in 2019 and had taxes you could file. So there's opportunity there for even younger businesses if you filed your taxes.
Right. Yes, and I know the tax, you know, returns were delayed, but between that and just financial statements, you can get some certified financial statements through, you know, CPA who's certified. So we, you know, that's why they're licensed. So yeah, so there's some other adjustments that you can do to actually make this work. That's why we're trying to work with everyone with some technical assistance.
And so we need to talk about what this whole PPP and all this money has taught Black businesses a lesson. What do you think that is?
Oh, taught them a lesson. Besides, always be prepared. I mean, it's tough being in business. We know that 80% of small businesses don't make it. So, I'm always like, okay, well, one of my keys to advice, not just learning about what this has taught us, but also about, doesn't necessarily mean that we always have to start. We have to reinvent the wheel and start from the ground up and in business all the time. Why not also look at, I always try to get people about succession planning and to pass these businesses down or invest or buy into a business that's already established and then take it to the next level. We always want to start way down here when we could be starting up here with good succession planning. So that's one good piece of advice I always remind people. If you're already in a business that's successful, guess what? You're much more likely that you will be successful and continue it to grow it to the next level rather than starting at the ground up. But as far as this pandemic goes, I mean, of course, obviously, just like for everybody, savings, having your savings, having an emergency plan. Did you have an emergency plan? Did you have an emergency funded? Easier said than done for some businesses that are struggling. Oh, and the other vital thing I have to say, I'm very unfortunate that I know a lot of people are struggling and they did not keep their insurance payments up. Now here comes trouble. I mean, who knew that there was going to be an uprising like this, right? And then you find out a bunch of business like, oh, I dropped my insurance. I stopped paying my insurance. What?
Wow.
I mean, your building could catch fire any day. Anything could happen to your business. I mean, that's critical to keep your insurance in place and do whatever you have to do to make those insurance payments. I mean,
Some
without
businesses
insurance, you don't have a
drop
business.
their insurance because of the pandemic to save money.
Right, to save money.
And then we're looted.
Yes.
Oh my God. And what assistance is out there for them?
I mean, they can apply for these grants just like everyone else. And, the city has some other emergency funds. The merchant fund is another operation that has some emergency dollars. But again, you're talking about huge loss, and maybe you're talking, what, $40,000 or $50,000. Does that really, get you out of a hole? But yeah, that was just sad. I mean, I've talked to several people, and when they told me, I said, "What do you mean you don't have insurance?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I had insurance, but I dropped it. Things were tough. The business was closed. I just figured I would drop it this term, then pick it back up again next term when the store reopened."
Wow. And one question, Michael Rivers says, do you have access to credible referrals for virtual assistants who specialize in business preparedness? I did not give you this question in advance, so I don't know if you have this. If not, people in the chat, please share this information. Mike, we have Ken here for other purposes, but if you can help.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, business referrals. I mean, as far as technical assistance, I mean, there's plenty of people that provide. The African American Chamber provides great technical assistance. There's the small business development centers. There's all kinds of places where you can get technical assistance. But as far as virtual assistance, well, in fact, right now everything is virtual, so that would be your virtual assistance.
Yeah. So sorry about that. You might want to tune in tomorrow, Mike, because we will have a representative from the Chamber of Commerce on, so you can ask questions at that time about this type of thing. But we wanted Ken to come on to talk about the money. $100 million of the $225 million, Ken, is going to go to economically disadvantaged businesses. How big of a deal is this? Because you tried to give us a little bit of that, but how big of a deal is it for Pennsylvania to designate this kind of money for minority-owned businesses?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I don't know when the last time or if this has ever happened before that we actually had this money separated out. Which just as a reminder that it does mean something of when you vote and who you vote for. The fact that we had a governor who was standing up saying, yes, some of this money has to go through some historically disadvantaged businesses. If we had a different governor, who knows what would have happened. But again, between him and of course, Senator Hughes being in the forefront of pushing this through to make sure that this happens to really help businesses in our community. It is important. I mean, elections have consequences. This is important of who you vote for.
Wonderful. So as we get ready to take a couple minutes to wrap up, I mean, what is your advice to these folks? This money is about to break free. And I've been talking about this for a while and trying to tell people look, get your stuff together. Cause I mean, you can't ask for, tax money if you don't pay your taxes.
Right.
And so people got to do with the right thing too.
That's unfortunate. We have a lot of people still in the underground economy, and then they can't participate in these things because, like, oh, by the way, you've never been paying your taxes. There, you've been invisible. Now you can't just show up, out of the woodwork and say, hey, I'd like to have some of that free money too. Just doesn't work that way. So, but again, just getting ready, just what you've been talking about, just getting ready so that when it opens up, when the gate opens, you're there, you're ready to take advantage of this opportunity. But again, not just this opportunity. This is just one opportunity. There's several opportunities coming down the road. Some of them already exist. Oh, by the way, let me also mention there's the PA 30-day fund. It's PA 30-day fund. Right. That's open right now, and you can get a $3,000 if your business was damaged. During the protest, you can get a $3,000 forgivable loan from now. Forgivable loan. So again, there's some paperwork involved, but that is open right now. You can go to, I should have wrote it down. I think it's PA 30-day fund. We posted it on our website.
I think it's PA30dayfund.com, $3,000 forgivable loans.
Yes.
And I think shout out to Jeff Brown and a bunch of those guys who, and I'm sure you probably, I don't know if Beech has contributed, but a lot of businesses that have funds have donated to this. So that's another opportunity. I think PayPal is giving out money.
Right.
Home Depot is giving out money. There's a lot of different, and we'll be talking about this a little bit more tomorrow as well. There's a lot of different funds, and there's a lot of people supporting minority-owned businesses, and we got to step up and apply.
Oh yeah. We developed the Black Business Directory. It's on our website. We try to do it every year. Doesn't capture every Black business, obviously, but the whole idea was just to put it together to kind of get a start, and hopefully it'll continue to grow. But now it's the time, obviously. Now it's the time, but it's always the time to support us and support Black businesses, right? Who's better at giving us jobs and opportunities than Black people and Black businesses?
And that's the thing. We go to Black people go to businesses, all kinds of businesses. I know some of my favorite people that I shop at are non-Black, but some of my favorite people that I do shop at are Black too. Shawnee Newton, shout out to you, sis. And so we gotta, we also have to convince our allies of other races to shop with us as well, because we shop with, we want some of those dollars too.
That's right. One of my favorite, everybody knows one of my favorite sayings. I hate this, is this thing that I always call it, white ice is colder. It's like, oh, well, it's the same business. Okay, they're selling the same products. Why would you not support your own in that business? Why are you going to the other side? I mean, white ice is not colder. All right. But you always have this perception. Same thing when you're hiring contractors or various people. Okay. Support your own people to create jobs and opportunities. Okay. So we can recirculate those dollars in our community. Yeah.
If you can find it in your own community, I feel like you should try to go there. And I encourage everybody to support Black businesses. Everybody, okay? Yeah, I do. Because everybody should to support businesses that do great work and that provide services in our community. I really believe that. And so tell us again, you said Beech Interplex. They should go to beechinterplex.com
beechinterplex.com. And they'll be able to, it's not basically right now we're just saying, leave us your information, leave us your contact information, and we will get back to you as soon as the information is on the website. We will then contact you if you go to it right now and just send us an email. We'll contact you and make sure that you get notified when it does open and what the criteria is. So that'll be posted next week. But July 1 should be the official start date. That's when the gate opens and applications then can be submitted.
Wonderful. Ken Scott.
All right.
President and CEO of the Beech Companies. Thank you so much for being on Real Talk with Cherri.
Always.
I always appreciate you. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Yep, you too. Have a great.
There you go. Ken Scott dropping jewels on you guys about how to get access to this cash. Y'all heard it. 225 million. Okay. All this money is going to be available for you guys. Check out the email address, web address right here, beechinterplex.com. Get all the details you need. And I'll also be posting on this post all the information you'll need from the other CDFIs that will be providing information and access to this funding as well. Because Beech Companies is one of a number of companies that are going to be doing this. But I know Ken, he's dope about his business. He knows his stuff. So I wanted him to talk you through this process. I want you to share this video and tag a friend and let them know, man, this money is here. I don't want to hear people telling me they didn't get nothing, okay, that they didn't have access, because we've been working really hard to make sure that you do. You've seen people rolling up their sleeves and getting the coffers filled again. And people need to get their stuff together. And so any final comments, y'all, because I appreciate all of y'all. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? I appreciate everybody tagging a friend, share this video. Let's get the word out about this. Let's get the word out. And there are other funds available as well. Tomorrow, we'll be talking to the Black barbers and the hairstylists that came together. They formed a lobbying group, and they got top officials across Pennsylvania to talk to them. And guess what? They're going to get first dibs on this $100 million. And I love this story so much because it talks about self-determination. And then we'll also be hearing from the African American Chamber of Commerce. They'll be laying out all the funding that's available. Ken started it off. And this pot of money, this $100 million, part of the $225 million, is just one of a list of funds. The PA 30-day fund is also another one. So, of course, Chris, you know I love you guys over at Beech. And for those nonprofits, Beech has been giving out money to folks on the front lines of COVID-19. Every week, they was doing 5 grants. Very busy helping the community. So you guys are amazing. And I appreciate all of you for all of your support. Real Talk with Cherri streams live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 o'clock during the summer, 7:30 during the cold times. And I just want you guys to know, I appreciate all your support. Just tag a friend and share this video. And shout out again to Aisha Williams and to Michael Cord. This show started off being about why white folks got to stop calling police on Black people for stuff that's not a crime. The trauma that is there is real, y'all. And it's important. What we learned today is very important, that to the extent you have claims and can file a complaint, that you follow it through. Nothing will change if you allow stuff to happen to you and you don't stand up. The day you stand up is the day you save the person behind you and behind them and behind the next one. So I'm going to get off, because for those of you who missed that interview, the first interview Asha has had talking about this issue, take a listen. Take a listen, y'all. I'm telling you, for our white friends, for our allies, for each other, don't call the cops on people unless you know they committed a crime. Unless there's some kind of, you don't need armed responses for things that a phone call can handle. This is a situation where an email, a phone call could have sufficed, and not having an armed police officer from another district coming outside of his jurisdiction to intimidate a mother in front of her children. So this is going to take, they're going to take it to the tippy top. You know how Michael Cord get, he ramps stuff up. Michael X. So we did not mention the name of the dance studio. We did not mention the name of the officer involved, because that's not what it was about for us. Instead, it was about the situation and the need to stop the trauma of calling cops on people for non-crimes. We need to stop this, y'all, because racism is real. And nobody wants to get beat up, shot, locked up for something like Facebook posts or Instagram posts. We don't need that happening. So anyway, thank you to Asha. Thank you to Michael. Thank you to Ken Scott from the Beech Companies. Again, go to beechinterplex.com if you're a small business. Check out if you're eligible for the $5,000 to $50,000 free money grants from the state for COVID-19 relief. So see you guys on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, sorry. Today is Monday. See you Tuesday at 8 o'clock for the next show. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.